Welcome to Connected Care Education. Today we are going to look at Unit 002, Principles and Values of Health and Social Care Children. Unit 002, Principles and Values of Health and Social Care Children, Learning Outcome 1. Understanding how legislation, national policies and code of conduct and practice underpin health and social care and support for individuals. Introduction. Several key principles underpin health and social care services in Wales. These are: the child or young person is at the centre of everything we do. Services should be designed around the child or young person's needs. Professionals should work together with the child or young person to meet their needs. The well-being and protection of the child or young person is paramount. Services must always promote diversity, independence, choice, empowerment, identity and safety. How legislation and national policies underpin health and social care and support for children and young people. Legislation and codes of practice have been developed to ensure these principles underpin the way services are designed and delivered. This legislation and the codes tell workers how they should support the child and young person and how services should be planned, and they should underpin everything we do. There are several pieces of relevant legislation and codes to be looked at. The key piece of legislation is the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014. So let's look at the principles and values of Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014. The Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014 changed the way local authority social services and other care services work together in partnership to help and support individuals. The Act helps ensure that individuals enjoy well-being in every area of their lives as much as they choose and are able to. The Act brings together and modernises different pieces of existing social care law. This new legal framework consists of three elements: the Act, the regulations which provide greater detail about the requirements of the Act, and the codes of practice which give practice guidance about how it should be implemented in social care settings. The Act applies to adults, that is, individuals aged 18 or over, children, individuals under the age of 18, and carers, adults or children who provide care and support. The Act is made up of 11 parts. It consists of 5 principles and clearly identifies the individual the Act affects. The principles of Wales of the Act are important as they impact on the way services are provided and how we work with support individuals. There is a link provided for you to follow. Please click to watch the video about the Act. There's also a link provided. Please pause the video here and complete Worksheet Learning Outcome 1, Worksheet 1. Principles and Values of the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014. The Act is built on the following core principles: voice and control, which means putting the individual and their needs at the very centre of their care and support so that they have a voice and control over the outcomes that will help meet their needs. Prevention and early intervention involves encouraging individuals to ask for help or support when they need it, not when it may be too late. Wellbeing identifies how to support individuals to achieve well-being in every aspect of their lives. This involves all of the relevant services working together to support an individual's health and well-being. Co-production is working with individuals, their family, carers and friends to identify and meet their support needs. The Social Services and Wellbeing Act and advocacy. Children and young people have a right to be supported to express their needs, views and wishes and be able to fully participate in the assessment and planning process and in decisions which affect them. Children and young people also have a right to an independent professional advocate, provided free of charge if they have difficulties in expressing their views, needs, wishes and preferences. Social care, education and health professionals working with children and young people all have a key role to play in supporting young people to have a voice, to speak up for children and young people and make sure their rights are respected and their views and wishes and feelings taken into consideration. Advocacy can be provided at different levels, such as somebody the child chooses, a family, relative, friend, teacher or carer. However, there may be occasions where this support is not available or appropriate, or there are conflicts of interest in them acting as an advocate, and the child needs an independent professional advocate to enable them to engage in and participate in the process. Visits to looked after children under the Act. There is a duty upon social services to appoint an independent visitor to meet the needs of the child. They must ensure their well-being continues to be safeguarded and promoted, they feel supported, they receive advice or information if needed, engagement with the child about their hopes and aspirations, personal goals and outcomes are checked, and additional support or services are identified if needed. Please pause the video here and complete Worksheet Learning Outcome 1, Worksheet 2, Principles and Values of the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014. Now let's look at the Principles and Values of the Children's Act 1989 and 2004. The Children's Act 1989 and 2004 provides a framework for the care and protection of children, centring on the welfare of children up to their 18th birthday. It defines parental or carer responsibility and encourages partnership working with parents and carers. It focuses on putting children and young people at the heart of planning and decision making through co-production and person-centred practice. The main principles of the Act are the welfare of the child is always the main focus. Wherever possible, children should be brought up and cared for within their own families. Parents and carers with children in need should be supported to bring up their children themselves. This support should be provided in partnership, meet each child's identified needs, be appropriate to the child's race, culture, religion and language, be open to effective independent representations and complaints procedures, utilise existing partnerships between the local authority and other agencies, including voluntary agencies. Use the link to access further information about the Children's Act 1989 and 2004. Now we'll look at key legislation. The Human Rights Act 1998 sets out the fundamental rights and freedoms that everyone in the UK is entitled to. The Act incorporates the rights set out in the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR, into domestic British law. UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is an international legal agreement which exists to protect and promote the human rights of disabled individuals. The UN Convention on the Rights of a Child 1990 is an international human rights treaty that grants all children and young people aged 17 and under a comprehensive set of rights regardless of their race, religion or abilities. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child is an international agreement which protects the human rights of children under the age of 18. The Welsh Assembly Government's 7 core aims for the children and young people summarise the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC, and form the basis for decisions on priorities and objectives nationally. They should also form the basis for decisions on strategy and service provision locally. In Wales, we have the Welsh Language Act 1993, Welsh Language Measures 2011, and Mwy na Geiriau gives the Welsh language official status in Wales. It introduces standards to explain how organisations are expected to use the Welsh language, increases the use of Welsh language, and makes it easier for individuals to use it in their everyday lives. The Welsh Government Strategic Framework for the Welsh Language in Health and Social Care 2013 is the Welsh Government's commitment to strengthen Welsh language services to individuals accessing health and social care and their families. The Equality Act 2010. This includes legislation, national policies and codes of conduct and practice that have been developed over time to support the rights of all individuals. Please click on the video for more information. Now let's look at the codes of conduct and professional practice. The Code of Conduct Professional Practice sets standards and guidance for all care professionals. In Wales, the Code of Practice for Social Care Employers, the Employers Code, sets the standards for employers. Practice guidance gives registered workers guidance related to their role. Other codes include the NHS Wales Code of Conduct for Healthcare Support Workers in Wales, the Code of Practice for NHS Wales Employers and Practice Guidance, the Practice Guidance for Residential Childcare for Workers registered with Social Care Wales. The Code of Professional Practice for Social Care consists of a list of statements describing the standards of professional conduct and practice necessary for employees in the social care profession in Wales. The Code plays a key part in raising awareness of these standards. The Code is intended to be a guide for workers, individuals accessing services, and managers of services. In relation to individuals receiving care, the Code will make the individuals aware of how a social care worker should behave towards them. Also, the role of employers in supporting social care workers to do their jobs well. Employers of social care workers are expected to promote the use of the Code and take into account of it and in making decisions about the conduct and practice of staff. Visit the link below and make a note of 4 requirements for workers explained in the Code for Care Workers. It's the Code of Professional Practice for Social Care. There is also a link available for you. Principles of the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014 and the Children's Act 1989 and 2004 and supporting practice. Children and young people must be consulted in deciding the support they need and in relation to making decisions about their care and support. They are viewed as an equal partner. Children and young people can use an independent professional advocate to help them participate fully in the assessment, care and support planning, review and safeguarding processes. They also have a right to an independent professional advocate, provided free of charge if they have difficulties in expressing their views, needs, wishes and preferences. As a carer, working together with a child or young person, this impacts on the role in terms of care and must now be personalised to the individual through collaboration with them. This may involve support for them from an advocate. An advocate offers independent support to individuals who might not be heard, to ensure they are taken seriously and that their rights are respected. Advocates also help individuals to access and understand appropriate information and services. It is important that timely advice and assistance is provided to children and young people to prevent their situation from getting worse. Stepping in early to help individuals is crucial, as it can reduce or delay the need for longer-term care and support. Now let's look at a case study. Arlo is 15 years old. He lives with his parents but has not attended school for 6 weeks. Arlo's parents are both drug and alcohol dependent, so struggle to get him to school, which results in lateness or long absences. Social services have just become involved. Please pause the video here and complete worksheet, learning how to come to worksheet 3, case study. Please pause the video here and complete worksheet, learning outcome 1, worksheet 3, case study. The Code of Practice for NHS Wales Employers and the Code of Professional Practice for Social Care. The Code of Practice for NHS Wales Employers is supported by a Code of Conduct for Healthcare Support Workers, which describes the standards workers must follow and comply with. Employers should be understanding and implement the Code of Conduct and ensure staff are supported to achieve the standards. Both codes support the basic principles of safety and public protection and must underpin the day-to-day working practices of NHS Wales in all aspects of service delivery. Employers will need to implement systems and processes to support healthcare support workers to achieve the standards in the Code of Conduct. Employers also need to use the workplace as an opportunity to develop healthcare support workers by providing more fulfilling working conditions that help staff carry out their roles safely and effectively, whilst preparing them to progress to new and more challenging roles in the future. The Code of Professional Practice for Social Care is made up of 7 sections. Respect the views and wishes and promote the rights and interests of individuals and carers. Strive to establish and maintain the trust and confidence of individuals and carers. Promote the well-being, voice and control of individuals and carers while supporting them to stay safe. Respect the rights of individuals while seeking to ensure that their behaviour does not harm themselves or other individuals. Act with integrity and uphold public trust and confidence in the social care profession. Be accountable for the quality of your work and take responsibility for maintaining and developing knowledge and skills. And in addition to sections 1 to 6, if you are responsible for managing or leading staff, you must embed the code in their work. There is a link available for you to follow for these codes. The NHS Wales Code of Conduct for Healthcare Support Workers in Wales. The NHS Wales Code of Conduct for Healthcare Support Workers in Wales describes what is expected from healthcare support workers employed by NHS Wales in relation to the standards of conduct, behaviour and attitude expected when they are at work. The code applies to all healthcare support workers employed in clinical and non-clinical environments within the NHS and will be used to reference job descriptions. The code provides confidence and reassurance through a framework for public protection incorporating the provision of guidance and support to healthcare support workers about their practice to ensure they understand what standards of conduct employers, colleagues, service users and the public expect them to follow. The code sets out standards so healthcare support workers can be sure what standards they are expected to meet. Healthcare support workers should use the code to assure themselves they are working to the standard and if not, then change the way they are working. Healthcare support workers can use the code to review their practice and identify possible areas for personal development. The code supports healthcare support workers to fulfil the requirements of their role, behave in the correct way, and follow a duty of care and good practice at all times. This is essential to protect service users, public and others from harm and abuse. According to the Code of Conduct for Healthcare Support Workers in Wales, they must be accountable by making sure you always answer for your actions or omissions. Promote and uphold the privacy, dignity, rights and well-being of service users and their carers always. Work in collaboration with your colleagues as part of a team to ensure the delivery of high-quality, safe care to service users and their families. Communicate in an open, transparent and effective way to promote the well-being of service users and carers. Respect a person's right to confidentiality, protecting and upholding their privacy. Improve the quality of care to service users by updating your knowledge, skills and experience through personal and professional development. To promote equality, all service users, colleagues and members of the public are entitled to be treated fairly and without bias. There is a link available for you to follow. The Practice Guidance for Residential Childcare for Workers registered with Social Care Wales. The Practice Guidance for Residential Childcare for Workers registered with Social Care Wales describes what is expected of workers to support a high-quality service in relation to residential childcare. The guidance can also be used by employers to assess whether they have arrangements in place to ensure a professional and safe service is delivered at all times. The guidance covers child-centred care and support, good residential childcare practice, safeguarding individuals, health and safety, professional development, learning culture, and contributing to the development of others and contributing to the service, including raising concerns. The guidance builds on the Code of Professional Practice for Health and Social Care, and failure to follow the guidance could put a worker's registration at risk. There is a link available for you to follow. And finally, the Code of Conduct and Professional Practice for Health and Social Care. Social care workers are responsible for making sure that they work to the standards in the Code of Conduct and Professional Practice. Workers must ensure that their conduct and practice meet the standards and that no action or omission on their part harms the safety or well-being of children and young people. The Codes of Conduct Professional Practice provide a criteria to guide the workers' practice and gives clarity about the standards of conduct that they are expected to meet. Workers are encouraged to use this guidance to examine and reflect on their own conduct and practice and to identify areas in which they can improve. Please pause the video here and complete Worksheet Learning Outcome 1, Worksheet 4, Applying Code of Conduct and Professional Practice.